So, okay, this is mine. Now, next chart we're going to do is we're going to do the ones we did in the classes up to now. So we're going to take Donald Trump's chart. Not the chart, it's 22 degrees, 56 minutes of Gemini. Okay, that's 20 to 25 degrees of Gemini. That's the Leo Pentan. So he's the Gemini independent person with a Leo Pentan. Could it be so? Could he have pride or glory? Could he have to be thinking he's the best? The king is him. He's the president. I did my thinking. I'm smarter than anyone else. I know what I'm doing. I know he's intelligent, he's smart, man. But I'm the leader. I'm the president. I'm the best. Don't question what my decisions is. I know how it should be. We need a fence at the borders. We need whatever. Like, I know how I have to have it. Like, he has his own fixity and determination and his pride inside of his intelligence or his thinking, rather than call it intelligence. Let's just call it his ways of thinking. He might call it his intelligence. But he's proud on it, and he has the ability to put his heart into where his thinking is, and he makes the, I got the hotel, I got this, I make it this, like, that gives a strength and it adds a power to the Gemini thinking. So as a persuader, when he's talking to someone, I'm sure he could be quite impressive and quite forceful, quite assertive. And you'd have to listen, admire his presentation, or you're not in on the party. So that's the Cancer. The main theme is the Gemini, the thinking, the independence, the most independent thinking sign. They act on ideas as soon as they get it. They're not trying to be responsible, trying to be more free. Is it so? Well, we have someone trying to be more free who's the president of a country, and he's trying to do things more for himself anyways. The Geminis have trouble in politics for this reason, but the Leo in there is a strong pride of having to be best, having to win, having to have it my way or the highway. That's very strongly in there, but there is a potential for a nobility and a glory. If you're aligned with him, you'll get benefits because of it. He'll shine. So he has a lot of followers that really regard him highly. He stands up to the globalization of the world, the international things. He's supporting personal value. A lot of people line up behind him and let him lead. They got it. He got elected president. Now, inside of that, he has the intimate detail is Cancer, it's family. So he follows ideas. He's a big kid, but he has a strong sensitivity to family. He takes everything really personally. On a personal level, he takes everything personally. It may not show right away because that's really down sensitive, intimate. He does take things personally, and then it's a very proud issue. And then he's thinking about what he's going to say something about what he thinks is important because it affects something sensitive. So you could say maybe the way to reach him, if you reach him intellectually when his own ideas are aligned with it, or acknowledge them and apply them. But really, you almost have to nurture him or be sensitive to him. You have to reach him with sympathy or sensitivity. He'd be very sensitive to any lack of sensitivity. Funny. Seems like he's insensitive to it at all, but in some ways, on a personal level, it's exactly he has this Cancer theme in there. I have to go a little bit faster. Okay, so his moon is in Sagittarius. He exaggerates his feelings. He has an understanding. He feels this. He understands this. What he feels, he sees where it goes, where it fits in. He understands. Make America great. Make it the way it was. Make it the way I feel it should be. Fiery. So we can have the best. We're the best. Leo inside of that too. Leo's the special focus on his sun and on his moon. So it has his pride, his determination inside of that to be the winner, to do it his way. And here with his moon, he's got a Taurus intimate detail. So his determination, I want it this way, I like it this way, it has to be this way. The Leo, I understand how to get it the way I want. We'll put up borders, we'll put up walls at the borders, which is really just saying the borders, they don't have very good security because they're so worried about their borders beyond most countries. His eyes see his motivation point. Scorpio, like me. As a Scorpio, he's driven. Have to do this. It's Mars driven. I achieve this. Don't tell me I can't do this. Don't tell me I'm doing what I have to do. He gets driven to prove things. I'll do this. I'll prove it. But inside of that driving is a knowledge, or he has his ideas or his knowledge forces his action. He's sensitive to being knowledge and thinking he knows what he knows. Don't tell me what I don't know. And his IC is fix, 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 Scorpio, Aquarius, and Leo. So again, Leo on the intimate, the pride comes out on all these different levels, but he's proud of what he knows, thinks he's the best, he knows it. And but even on his motivation, he's in the present when the government wouldn't accept his son-in-law to be running in the thing because he didn't pass security checks. He bypassed the security checks and said he's in there anyways. So he did things for family that he wouldn't do for other people. You can see that in this Scorpio, Aquarius, Leo. I have to go a little faster through these, but you can stop and spend a long time on any one of these and it gets more and more, and doesn't get less interesting. You're going to flash one of these up for a dinner table and you can spend the whole evening talking about one person's combination, wondering about it. So his ascendant's in Leo, another, like you see Leo's involved in each one of his factors. And so he sees himself as the best, as the ruler, as the king, as me. And he's very specific, very detailed, very critical, sensitive, fussy about how he is. It's interesting, like this is his identity. So he has his mane of hair, which is the symbol of the Leo and the mane of hair. And he's always trying to fix it. And it's like, is it a wig? Is it his hair? Is whatever? Like these questions would come up. But he has a self-critical identity. It's fussy. He's trying to make it neat, trying to make it perfect, trying to be this way, that way. But he's for the Leo. The Leo is to live up to this, to be this, I gotta be there, I gotta be like this, I gotta be like this, I gotta be my way. And he's got it figured out, he figures it out. That Mercury ruling the perspective focus ties into his Gemini. And he gets an idea that he talks about it. But inside this, there's a contradiction here because he has that detail, but on the inside, there's the Pisces. Around his identity, there's if you believe in me or don't believe in me. You're either believing me or the critical side is not believing me. So it's interesting how his personality and his image that he put out was able to capture the belief of the fundamentalist Christians. When his propositions are really materialistic and not, but there's a contradiction there that does this. I'm just talking my puzzles around it. I really don't like this much gossiping or talking, but you can. You use astrology, you start looking like this. We've done these charts, we've worked on them, so I'm just talking a little bit now Sigmund Freud. Okay, we have this chart, we have this, we've done this bolt pattern, we've seen, the bucket, and we've done the moon phase, we've gone through the chart at the transits. Now we're just going deeper into all that stuff's just there. This stuff is things become more useful on another level. You'll start to see as we get to progressions, this will really kick in as useful, but you got to make it useful in the natal chart because that's where all the knowledge gets grounded in. So his sun is at 16 degrees Taurus, 1620, so it's between 16 and 17 of Taurus. So it's between 15 and 20 degrees of Taurus. 15 degrees is the middle of the feminine sign, it's Capricorn, 15 to 20. So he's in the 16, he's in the Capricorn Pentan. He's a Taurus with the Capricorn Pentan. He knew what he wanted. He lived his own set way. He had his own set way of living. He was married. He stayed with his wife in the same house all through years. It wasn't until the last year of his life when Hitler was coming after him and took over Austria that he had to escape to England. And he only lived another year, but he stayed in the same way. He was very traditional. And even with his, and inside of that, he had this psychological, the Scorpio depth. So he knows what he likes and what's beautiful, what's nice. And he works hard for it. He's defensive about it. But he could see the limitations, and inside of being able to work within limitations, there was a sexual desire, so he could see who did what, or what did. So you could see his sexual psychology, the ability of the Freudian slipper, seeing that sexual interpretation is in his intimate detail, but the inhibition and discipline in trying to present himself, he had his style, he had his way of living, but he had to do it in the old boy system, in the university, in the psychology system. He had the structure. He had to do it formally to prove it, and he anchored it formally, and he did do it. You know, it's he had a very conservative approach, but I mean, he had other things that he liked. He liked his cigars, and his cigars gave him cancer of the throat, and he had real problems with his tongue in his throat for most of his life. It was his main big problem from the cigars. Okay, his moon's in Gemini, very independent. That's the Freudian stuff, the free thought, one idea, one idea, after ideas come up. But he has Gemini special focus, so it's like double Gemini. So he intellectualizes feelings in his own way. He can see it his own way. And then inside of that, he has the Virgo to be able to analyze all these free thoughts. What's happening here? Well, why is that there? Why is that there? He has the critical thinking inside of this. This is his moon. It gets really intellectualized all across the board. So really, you can see the Freudian stuff, but then you go back to the sun, and he's sitting waiting, and he's got that Scorpio into a detail into source. I wonder what I want. I'm thinking. Oh, there's that point that crosses over, and he picks it up. The Scorpio. There's many ways you can come into a person's chart and get insights. And here's IC. Okay, so this is, we have a very set structure of how we build up our RASA interpreting natal chart. We're jumping into other realms above it that are, once you've done the main structure and you have the main character somewhere, you can go back to that, but the main structure's in place. Then you can start looking at the other really incredible things that come in, other insights that are there, that are wonderful, just add-ons to astrology, and understanding the character, make it so much more richer and refined. So his IC, he's motivated by knowledge, by Aquarius, by thinking, by being rational, and by teaching it, by showing it. Leo. Very proud of it. So he felt he had a system he built up. So he's the father of psychotherapy. He built it up. Jung was a student, but a student that broke away. He really wasn't a good student of Freud. He was the student that broke away and did his own thing. He wasn't one of Freud's best students, although Freud really did have the stronger sense of knowledge and was motivated to do it, to teach it, and what had to be done. Now, Freud's ascendant, Scorpio, so you have the Scorpio, you have the Taurus, but the Scorpio ascendant, so he has that seventh house psychology, but the Scorpio ascendant is personally intense. So it's magnetic, it's intense, it's judgmental. He had that. And understanding that those desires and those passions, and the understanding of it is the Sagittarius focus inside of that. And understanding it and seeing the impulses that happen anyways, the impulses that happen, understanding those impulses and judging whether they're right or wrong or what to do. That judgmental call that he had on his ascendant was exactly the opposite of Jung's ascendant and Jung's approach to things.